ever thought to yourself, man, I wish I had the answer to that question, or why am I always two steps behind my prospect? Well, in today's video, I'm going to show you on the flood insurance guru side and with our marketing clients and students how we're helping people build trust, where clients feel like we're almost reading their minds sometimes. So by the end of this video today, in this training, I'm going to show you how you can build this workflow inside your organization, whether you're an HVAC company, you're an insurance company, you're a small local business, how you can become the trusted advisor in your area. So let's jump over to today's training and let's get started. All right, everyone. Let me walk you through how I did this, or how we're actively doing this, and how we're helping clients do this. So I started really with Claude and ChatGPT, and the first thing I wanted to focus on is let me focus on my data. Dude, that's my gold. I've got things in my data that nobody else does. I've got real questions. I've got real friction points. So let me first of all go and find those. So right here, you're going to see where it says start with real customer questions. I'm starting with my own questions. And I'll give you an example. When we're sending over proof of coverage to a lender, there's a few things they ask for. First of all, they're asking fees. Are they reoccurring? And they're asking, hey, we need a paid receipt. So why not already have a template built that goes ahead and in that email answers those questions? Because I'm answering those same questions over and over. Now I could take those same questions and I could put them into a database that actually helps me answer these when I am building content. So that's just one small example. Now I can look at my phone recordings like we've talked about before. I could look at my emails, but that's not good enough. I need to know what people are asking online by scraping like Reddit, Quora. I need to know the questions my competitor is answering on their websites. I need to know the questions I'm answering. Where are these gaps? Where do these gaps fall into the customer journey? At what point? Because imagine this. What if your team member could answer questions before the customer has the questions? I had this happen the other day, and the customer goes, man, I feel like you're reading my mind. Guess what that does? That builds trust. So I'll really use one main tool when doing this. And you could go either way with this, because the way I've got my connector set up with HubSpot, Aircall, and these other things, you could use a ChatGPT or you could use a Claude, whichever one you prefer. Now, Claude's been kind of slow lately, so I've been using ChatGPT a lot more. And it's important, as you see on the left-hand side here, I use the Endless Customers Content Reviewer. I'm a huge fan of Marcus Sheridan. Anybody who knows me knows that. I've read the book more than 75 times. I'm a coach for their company, and I use their GPTs religiously. But not just their GPT, but any GPT, really, you can't connect it to your connector sometimes. So I may have to take this workflow, build all this out, then copy and paste it into the Endless Customers Content Reviewer as I dive deeper when I'm building out these blogs. Now, if I'm doing something on video script, I may have like my vidIQ video script builder there, and I'd send it over to HeyGen to help me build a video. So this is how I'm doing this. This is how I'm starting with these questions. And I'm coming up with these questions into clusters. And the purpose of these clusters, I'm also building these clusters as playlists of YouTube. Think about it as a cluster almost like a topic. And I'm covering every aspect of that topic. Interviews with subject matter experts have always been extremely important. It's always been a challenge of getting them. Hey, I got to sit down with my content manager. I don't have time to do that. I've got these other things I'm helping customers. Well, there's some ways now that we can really speed this up. Whisperflow is one of them. You've heard me talk about it before. You hit one button on your keyboard, you start talking. So imagine I send you a list of these 255 questions. Oh man, I got to answer these 255 questions? No. Take those questions, put them into a clean ChatGPT chat, and have it interview you. Spend 10, 15 minutes a day interviewing this. I guarantee you by the end of the week, you're going to have those 300 questions answered. Not only those, but AI is going to discover that there's deeper questions. That's what happened to me. I was answering these questions. 250 questions turned into 500 questions, but I didn't have to answer those 500 questions. The questions I'd already answered were actually the answers to the other questions. So what that did is it helped us dive deeper on the topic. It helped us become a better authority. It helped us use our real world examples or real expertise. One of the very unique selling points of working with a flood insurance guru is I bought a house in a flood zone. I almost lost that house. I helped pull my dad out of a flood when I was about 8 years old in Augusta, Georgia. I've got a master's degree in flood mitigation. So there's a lot of things that I have my competition doesn't have. I've actually been through the friction points that my customers have been through. Most people in my industry and what I do have not. Because of that, I'm able to build a different level of trust because people understand that, hey, I've been there. I've been in those shoes. I've faced those challenges. They want to typically work with somebody who has been through that. And that goes back to, the story brain framework with Donald Miller, with the guide, the hero, and all that stuff. But this is how I'm actually building this out with this interview. It's first person stories for me as it interviews me, and it looks at my data, and it takes the emails, it takes the phone call recordings, and it starts to ask me these questions and get these stories from me using my real premiums, my locations, the floods, all these different things is how we're doing this. It's auditing my existing content, telling me what needs to be replaced, what needs to be updated, what needs to be new. And then it makes it really easy for my content team that can go in here and do this. Now, and once I get done with all this, then I'm taking the ClickUp. I'm going to have Claude create these tasks in ClickUp for my content team to start working on this. And it's even got it labeled web page, pillar page. Think of pillar page like hub and spoke. That's your centerpiece. That's your mothership that's pointing out to these different pages. And so this makes it really easy for my content team when they're building it. As I said, you see StoryBrand here for web pages and blogs because we've been through the StoryBrand certification. We follow it with endless customers principles. And I kind of take those two together to build my trust and growth framework. As I've been through these two frameworks now for about 5 to 10 years, really with endless customers for about a decade now. But that's not enough. We've also got to build it for the right SEO. We've got to build it for the right AEO at the same time. Really answering these customers' questions from a customer standpoint, from an AI standpoint, from an SEO standpoint. It's a balancing act. We've got to make sure we've got the right internal linking done and the right external linking. What videos maybe need to be going into these articles and all these different things. And look, the one I'm showing you now is actually for the state of Georgia because I'm doing this state by state. Heck, I'm doing it city by city in some scenarios so that I become the authority in those areas. Is this something that's going to happen overnight? Absolutely not. But it is something that's going to happen over time. I may be putting out 5, 6 blogs a week because this is able to speed up the process. That used to be 3. And then you can see some of the different CTAs I've got in here. Now, whether you run an insurance company, whether you run an HVAC, whatever, you can understand your CTAs. Maybe it's get a free inspection. Maybe it's get your annual review done or, whatever the business is. And then it's running production quality assurance before anything goes live. Running through certain tests. For example, yesterday I ran something through a test 9 different times before we kind of got to the finish line where it was ready to go. And you could build this as a GPT right here. You could build it as a Claude skill where when it goes through this, it gives you this checklist. In fact, this is what I do for working on my master's. I build these checklists for my assignment with the syllabus and all these things to make sure I'm following things correctly. Running the blogs. And then we're publishing it by batch, not randomly. So what I mean by that is we're taking one cluster and we're scheduling all that cluster out at the right time. And this is exactly how we're doing this. Now, let me go right here and show me. And I want to show you what the spreadsheet looks like when it's done. And that's exactly what this should pull up for us in just a second. And I want you to think about this, whatever kind of organization you're in, taking these questions and doing it topic by topic. So you could have 250 different questions for each topic, each city, based on where you're doing. I mean, this should give you endless content forever. So let's just click right here on the master and it's show right here. So you can see, that's kind of my dashboard, right? Let's look at the gap analysis. And it's going to show you what's complete, what's needed from an interview standpoint, all these things because it's done all these interviews with me, right? Now let's look at production. This is going to tell you. This is going to tell you the output, what's being put out. This is going to tell us required inputs, the goal, the cluster it's for, and everything. Now let's go over to our HubSpot audit. This tells us data that they found inside of HubSpot on the customer questions and all these things. And I want you to just look at, now this is just pull briefly on this in the state of Georgia and things. It pulled about 25 questions, which isn't bad. But now let's look at our Georgia findings and see how it's pulling in different things for neighborhoods based on deals. Now we're going to go to the mass inventory about how we answer all these questions. And you see how it's got the topic, how it's got this. Buying and selling. And it goes all the way down to 313 things that we've talked about. Now, these aren't questions right here. Let's go back up. Right here. Stops right here. About 256 questions just for the state of Georgia. Now let's go to the existing audit. This is going to tell me what's already on the website, what we've already covered. This is going to tell me the current state, primary topic. It's going to even tell me the recommended action. And I can create all these things in tasks for you and ClickUp for my team to work on. It's going to tell me the source and everything. And it goes pretty deep. It even gives me the link architecture here about how things need to be linked. And look, I'm going to save this document. And this is going to be a living, breathing document for me that I use for my team. And so this is exactly how you can build this out. Now, let's close this out. Let's see. Now I'm going to ask it for the video guide. Because look, video is a big thing when it comes to building trust with your clients. It's a big thing with AI. It's one of the reasons why our YouTube channel still generates 125 leads a month for us now. And we're going back to these questions. So it's searching all my existing stuff. We're giving the customer a plan. Remember, the customer needs a 3-step plan of what to do next. If we don't tell them what to do next, the way our brains work is they get overwhelmed. They don't know what to do, so they take no action at all. So it's looking at all these different things. So it even tells me, hey, which ones should I produce? Which ones should my AI avatar, which is what I've built in Hagen, which is my digital twin. So you see as we go through this now, let's see if it gave me all the right stuff. All right, so if the production tracker. Now I've got it doing the video into a similar spreadsheet that I've got the other one put into. This is going to help my video team understand from an editing standpoint what needs to be next. What's the highest priority? How are we doing all this? And you're going to keep these two things. You can use a ClickUp. You could use Asana, some kind of project management tool to help you and your team track all this. Look, you could use a VA. You could use a content manager. I've used both. I actively still have both for a limited time period of how we do this. And once you have these, save these documents on your computer. They're always going to be changing over time. You're going to be getting more questions. You could be using AI to update these. And if you're in our private community, I will also be putting in the standard operating procedure below, step by step of how you can do this. If you're not in there, make sure to join it. As we help business owners every day kind of build this out from the AI standpoint, from a trust standpoint. So you kind of see how things are kind of changing a little bit here. So now let's pull this up here. And this tells us our command center here tells us what long form. It's got to be an error. There's no long form there. Yeah. See, there's no. All right. See, the AI is not always perfect. And that's why we always need a human at the top kind of managing it, telling it what to do. So just kind of put these examples in here. And see, now it's kind of updating it. Look, does this mean you need to do every idea that's on here? Absolutely not. But what this does mean, this idea triggers another idea. It may mean to you, hey, I could take these 10 ideas and put them into one video. We call that the 80% video, most frequently asked questions video on a topic. How I start with my YouTube is I may have a introduction to what you're going to find in this playlist. Then I may go through 6 to 8 educational videos. And then in that playlist, I've got an FAQ video of how I answer all these things. So once we see this, then we'll kind of wrap up this training here. This is how you can go through this and do this on your own. All right, so now let's go back and look at this. And let's see if it showed it to us. Yeah, so here we go. These are some of the long forms that I need. And look, some of these, actually a lot of these could probably be done by AI. Short form, right here. Then you even got the blogs to go with them. You got, you don't have anything but a web page. Or really real cases that far yet. So this is exactly how you can do this. And if you want help doing this, reach out to me. I do one-to-one coaching with businesses across the country on helping them do this in their organization. So I hope you found value in today's training. I hope today's video has been valuable for you. If it has, do me a favor, hit share, subscribe, like the channel below, and look, make sure below, if you're not in our private community, you can join below. Just $27 a month. I come in here every week and I teach you how we're actually using things in a real business